everybody! So today we are going to be talking about the movies that I saw at home in March. And because I was sick, I saw a lot, and I also saw some on the plane when I was traveling. So I'm going to go through these pretty quickly and just give like a really brief, like, I liked it, why I didn't like it. First one is 2014 remake of Annie. And I'm not like the biggest Annie fan. I like it, but I don't have a lot of nostalgia attached to it like some people do. But I thought this was terrible. It's really bad. I think that the bad reviews are deserved. The music is really bad. The orchestrations, the way they tried to like techno it up, it just sounds awful. And Cameron Diaz is so bad in it. I mean, it looks like she's reading cue cards. It's so bad. And I don't know. It had potential, I think, to be really cute, but I was really not. I watched The $1 Million Arm, and this is a story about a talent scout who goes to India to try to make cricket players into baseball players. And honestly, I wasn't a big fan of this either. I thought it was really, I kind of fell asleep. It just was slow, and I just didn't feel, John Hamm is fine in it, Lake Bell is fine in it, but I don't know, I just didn't feel attached to them. I didn't feel any kind of personal weight to their story, like I did with McFarlane USA, for instance, or Warrior. This just, I thought, was kind of boring. I didn't enjoy it. Next, I had The Judge, and I really didn't, I kind of had a little bit of a rough month at home. And The Judge had gotten pretty bad reviews, but Robert Duvall had got nominated for an Oscar, and he's pretty good in it, but everybody's just such a jerk. Everyone. I mean, there's just nothing redeeming from the very beginning. I hated every character in this movie. I didn't like being a part of their family, or they're just all really like hateful and awful, and I just didn't like it. Next is Night at the Museum, Part 3. And I'm really bummed about this because I actually liked the first two. I thought they were kind of fun. This just wasn't good at all. I really, there's one funny scene where Hugh Jackman is playing Camelot, and the Dan Stevens, who plays Lancelot, and he goes and he storms the stage and thinking it's like real or something, Camelot, and that was actually pretty funny, and Hugh Jackman does a pretty good job with making fun of himself and Wolverine and everything, and so I thought that was funny. But that was really the only time I laughed. And when you have Rebel Wilson, you have Robin Williams, you have Owen Wilson, you have this amazing cast, Ben Stiller, and you don't make me laugh. Like, that's such a shame. Next is The Fault in Our Stars, and I didn't really like this either. Boy, this is just a really negative I know a lot of people love it, but I thought it was really corny, and I just, what finally turned me off from the movie, because I think the performances are pretty good. I think Shailene Woodley is really good. I thought that Laura Dern and the guy who played her husband, they were really good as the parents, and I liked some of the questions that it asks, but there is a point. There are some movies where one character will be so unpleasant and so awful that will just turn me off of the whole movie. And it doesn't happen that often, but this is what happened with The Fault in Our Stars. They go all the way to Amsterdam to meet this author of this book that Hazel loves, and she wants to know more about what happens to this character who is sick in the book. And so they meet this author, and he was so horrible, like one of the most detestable human beings I've ever seen in a movie, ever. And that is played by William Dafoe, and he calls these two kids with cancer, he calls them mutants. He says that they are, that they should just stop trying to live, and that, I don't know, it was brutal. And I just thought, are you kidding me? Like, I don't know, I just couldn't believe that. I mean, it made Ebenezer Scrooge look like a daycare worker. I mean, it was so over the top that it made me angry. Like, I was really upset that the movie could go that far and be that unkind to these characters. Never be able to get another book published. It would be all over if two kids from America with cancer come for your book, it would be all over the news, it would be all over Twitter, it would be all over social media. He would never get another book published. I really believe that that is true. And he'd have to be the richest author. Like, I mean, maybe J.K. Rowling could get away with that, but most authors, even ones that have had series, like, can't afford to do that kind of thing. So it was just like, it was just so over the top, and it was so off-putting. And I know it's in the book, but I hated that character more than about any character I've ever seen in a movie, and that includes movies with despots and tyrants, and it was just awful. I was so angry about it that it really kind of ruined the whole movie for me. So next, I had The Giver, which is a book I love. I'm not a big fan of dystopian novels, but I really love The Giver because it's about a lot of themes that I really respond to as far as agency and making choices and the memories that we have that are really part of being a full human being. And dystopian world, they've managed to desensitize everyone so that they don't feel anything, but all abnormalities, even things like twins are done away with. Everything has to be the same. I think it's really interesting the way they talk about language and the way they talk about, but as far as a movie, like, the problem is that, like, in the book, it's really a lot of kind of therapy sessions of Jonas going to the giver and receiving the memories of the people, and him, like, growing and learning. And that's really not that exciting for a movie. It's good in a book because you can hear about what's going on in his head. But it's really hard to translate that, I think, to a movie. It's not terrible. I didn't hate it, but it wasn't good. I thought it was pretty well acted, and I thought some of the scenes worked, and I thought once it kind of got going, the ending I really liked. I thought it started to kind of get some momentum, and I thought that some of the sets and some of the things were good, but as far as a movie as a whole, it was kind of boring and it kind of slow, and it just didn't work as a movie. The next movie that I saw was called Beyond the Lights, and this movie is, I think, very cliched and it's one been done a lot before, but I thought the performances were so strong that I enjoyed it. It's directed by Gina Prince Blythewood, and I think she does a good job elevating the material above the material, and it's very similar to, like, The Bodyguard and other kind of famous person meets Notting Hill, but not even close to as good as Notting Hill, but kind of the same idea of, like, the famous person meets the not famous person. It stars Gugu Mbatha Raw, which is a really hard name, but I think she could be a huge star. She looks stunning in the movie, and she sings all of her own songs. She's definitely supposed to be like a Rihanna type, and she is, at the beginning, very packaged and presented as this sort of hip-hop pop icon. She has this mother, Minnie Driver, who was a single mom, and she's kind of become this manager. But I thought that she was a little bit more interesting than the typical stage mom, because everybody always thinks that, she's just a stupid stage mom, but then a lot of times she's smarter than everybody else in the room. And so I thought that she was a little bit interesting, a little bit layered. She's not completely selfish, but it's definitely a character we've seen before. It's not that original. But like I said, I feel like the actors and the director and everything kind of elevate the material above the material. So the Gugu, she plays this singer named Noni, and at the beginning, she is in a hotel room, and this man is her bodyguard standing outside the door. And his name is Kaz, K-A-Z, and he is played by Nate Parker. And the Noni ends up on a balcony. She's contemplating jumping off of the balcony. And Kaz comes and he convinces her to not do it, and he kind of saves her. He saves her, and they have this sort of moment of connection, and he says, "I see you." She says, "Nobody sees me, I see you." And like I said, it's kind of a corny line, but it works with these characters. Danny Glover is in it as Kaz's father, who wants him to go into politics, and that part I felt like it was a little too cute, that like, you know, the Noni has the overbearing mother and also Kaz has the overbearing father. I thought that was a little bit too cute, you know, that they have the exact same life. But again, like, it's just so, I liked these people. I liked their connection. They have really great chemistry. I thought the music was really good. It was well shot. It looked good. And so on that level, I enjoyed it. Next one is the anime film. Like, these are not all just new films. They're new films to me. And so I got a chance to see the animated film, the anime film, Akira. And this is a really gritty film. It's very, very difficult to describe. You kind of just have to go see it. Basically, it's about this motorcycle gang, this kid named Tetsuo, and they're kind of having like, I guess, like a world war, and it's sort of a dystopian type environment, and there's these motorcycle gangs, and there's this man named Akira who is this psychic, and he has these powers. But Tetsuo also has these psychic powers. So he's like the leader of the gang, and Tetsuo wants to release Akira, but other people don't want him to, and so there's this sort of battle and back and forth. It's really violent. It's I don't know. It's so hard to describe, but it is brutal. It's intense. But I thought it was really good. I definitely I'm gonna have to see a couple times before I fully absorb it, because there was a lot of movie to it, and I had a hard time sometimes following exactly what was going on all the time. But I think it'll be one that the more I watch it, the more I'll like it even more and more. But it's definitely really unique and really different. Said definitely really violent, and kind of hard to watch. And the last movie that I had is Mom's Night Out. Talk about 360 degree difference. And Mom's Night Out is a comedy starring Patricia Heaton and a whole bunch of other actors, and it's silly and ridiculous, and it's a Christian comedy. They definitely have some I guess preaching, and it's basically these moms are super stressed out. They need a day off, and they go, and all hijinks ensue. And it is really predictable, and it's really kind of silly, but it's a comedy. I thought it was funny. It made me laugh. What can I say? And it's not like, it's not great, but I laughed, and it wasn't vulgar, and it wasn't crude, and it wasn't, like, so hard to find a family comedy these days. It's not that often. And like I said, it made me laugh. It did its job. And I know it got really bad reviews, but I liked it. I thought it was good. What can I say? So that is the movies I saw at home. A lot of stinkers. It wasn't... oh boy. Yeah, it wasn't a lot of very good movies, but there were some good ones that snuck in there. So definitely, there's some good ones that snuck in there. Definitely check out Akira if you get a chance. I'd love to hear if you like it, if you've seen it. Put your comments down below. That was definitely the best movie that I saw at home. And others that I liked, even though they were flawed, like Beyond the Lights. But most of them I didn't really like very much. So put your comments down below if you like any of these movies. I know a lot of people love Fault in Our Stars. So I was curious how you responded to the Van Houten character, because it was a real turn off for me. So put your comments down below, let me know, and please subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you later.